Hello everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic back once again, and it's time to talk about everything that happened at WWE Money in the Bank 2024. Let's go. We start the show with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Oh, it's worth mentioning as well that Trish Stratus welcomed us on the pre-show, so that was very nice. But yes, onto the action. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Jey Uso comes out through the crowd, and everyone is very happy indeed. Secret handshake with Michael Cole at ringside, who's also a really happy boy. The other entrants are Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, and of course, Drew McIntyre, who's getting taunted by CM Punk fans as he comes down the ramp. There's a big brawl to start with Jey Uso and LA Knight, the last two men standing. They square off as the crowd trade yeets and yeahs, and then they both get taken out by Drew McIntyre with a ladder. Chad Gable stops Drew from grabbing the briefcase and locks in an armbar over the top of the ladder. Then Andrade springboards into the ring and leg drops Gable while he's hanging in the submission. Melo hits a springboard clothesline on Andrade, who gets revenge shortly afterwards with like a moonsault Spanish fly off the middle rope, with both men crashing onto a ladder, and both are down. Jey takes out Drew with a Samoan drop and a spear before Chad Gable starts to dominate with German suplexes for everybody. This culminates with Chad German suplexing a ladder onto Andrade, and the crowd chant, "You still suck." LA Knight hits a very nasty neckbreaker on Chad at this point, driving the pair of them onto the narrow edge of a ladder which has been placed in the corner. Carmelo Hayes is the next one with a chance to climb after winning a brawl with LA Knight, but Chad Gable grabs him in an ankle lock when he's halfway up the ladder. Drew stops Gable from grabbing the briefcase now and powerbombs him into a ladder in the corner very dismissively. Drew's looking dominant at this point. A Claymore to Andrade takes him out of the ring, and Drew looks like he's probably going to win. However, he is taken out by a kind of an unlikely alliance from Jey and LA Knight, who hit him with a BFT and a top rope splash, and then both of those guys meet at the top of a ladder and they start to fight over the briefcase, but Carmelo Hayes comes back to tip them both off before nailing Jey with nothing but net. Melo climbs, but Andrade stops him now and he climbs as well, but then LA Knight comes up from behind and pushes Andrade into like an inadvertent sunset bomb on Melo onto a ladder bridge below, similar to the previous spot that Andrade's done in the past with Finn Balor. Knight is stopped at this stage by Chad Gable, who hits a belly-to-belly suplex over the top rope, sending Knight crashing into a ladder bridge between the ring apron and the announce table. Chad climbs and grabs the briefcase, but Jey takes the ladder away and Chad is left dangling. He stays there for a while, but can't hang on and drops all the way down to the canvas. Jey finishes Chad off with a spear and he's all alone. He climbs, the camera zooms in on him, he looks like he's about to win, and then Drew McIntyre, with a perfect shot, throws a slightly smaller ladder right into Jey's head while he's perched on top of the bigger main ladder. It's an amazing shot. It clocks Jey in the head, perfect placement, perfect timing, and Drew climbs to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Action-packed opening to start the show. The next match is for the Intercontinental Championship. Bron Breakker versus the champion, Sami Zayn, who gets a big reception, of course, in his home nation. Bron is dominant early on with suplexes. He even gives Sami a free shot, says, "Go on, hit me then," and gets slapped in the face. Shortly afterwards, Sami sends Bron to the outside and nails his Arabian press, but Bron gets back on top, back in the ring, by doing what he does best, which is running the ropes really fast and just trucking Sami over with a massive shoulder block. He stays on top of things with a running knee in the corner and mocks Sami's Olay chant. The announce team mention at this point that Bron is possibly being overconfident, and it's well timed because this is just as he stops for a push-up break, but Sami runs up the ropes to hit a tornado DDT to get back on top of the match. They head back outside where Sami tries a moonsault off the crowd barricade, but Bron catches him in midair, possibly doing him a favor in reality, as Sami seemed very close to landing on his head. Sami shoves Bron into the ring post and goes for his jumping DDT through the corner of the ring, but Bron charges and just flattens him with a big clothesline. Back inside, Sami avoids a spear and hits the Blue Thunder Bomb for 2, then he goes for another tornado DDT out the corner, but Bron leaps up and hits a Frankensteiner, very impressive. Sami bails to the outside and Bron goes to spear him into the ring steps like he tried to on Raw, and just like on Raw, Sami leapfrogs out of the way, but Bron puts the brakes on this time. He heads up to the apron and flies with a clothesline to slam Sami on top of the announce table. Back in the ring, Sami hits the exploder suplex in the corner and goes for the Helluva kick, but Bron counters with a big jumping knee. He pulls the straps down and looks for the spear, but Sami kicks him in the face as he charges in. Sami's Helluva kick connects and Sami pins him. He pins Bron. Sami Zayn is still the Intercontinental Champion, and I think this one's a bit of a surprise. Maybe not so much the result, although many people were predicting Bron to win, but I think even those backing Sami would have expected him to have to do a bit more to keep Bron down. The crowd love it though, obviously, in Canada. They all celebrate, Sami celebrates in the ring, and we get a shot on the outside of Bron looking very annoyed. Trish comes back out onto the stage and recaps her history in this very building, including being the tag team partner of the next superstar she's about to bring out, John Cena. Cena says he's here to announce his retirement. He says people may ask why make this announcement here in Toronto, Canada, and says that over his career he's seen times of prosperity in WWE and times of hardship. And in those times of hardship, nobody wants to know your name, but he's learned that whether WWE is hot or cold, Canadians always show up. But the retirement isn't immediate. Cena says he'll be around for WWE's Netflix debut. The next Royal Rumble, he says, will be his last Royal Rumble. The next Elimination Chamber will be his last chamber. And the next WrestleMania will be his last WrestleMania. He urges us to tune into the post-show press conference where he'll be answering questions about this retirement tour. It's worth noting at this point that his t-shirt literally says John Cena Farewell Tour as well. Cena says if any superstars want some, come get some, because the last time is now. We go backstage next where Damien Priest reminds the Judgment Day not to interfere in his match. He's got this on his own. The guys all agree, but then the camera lingers on Finn Balor staring at Priest as he walks away. Ooh. And that match is next. Damien Priest defending the World Heavyweight title against Seth Rollins. If Rollins loses, he never gets a title shot again as long as Priest is champion. If Priest loses, he has to leave the Judgment Day. Seth goes for an instant pedigree, but Priest gets out of it and lands the first big blow of the match with a Falcon Arrow. The champion dominates for a while, but Seth takes him down with a sling blade, then looks to the entrance ramp and calls for Drew to come down and cash in, which Drew did say that he would do if he won Money in the Bank, which he did. Seth stays on top with a couple of dives to the outside, and then back in the ring, he hits a lion salt for 2, and then gets another near fall off a nice head scissors. Priest gets back on top and also looks at the entranceway, and shortly afterwards falls victim to a big frog splash from Seth, but he kicks out in time. They head up top, and Seth manages to slip out and walk Priest from one corner to the other of the ring with a nice buckle bomb, but then Priest hits a big release powerbomb of his own for 2, before again staring at that entranceway. The pair have a strike exchange, which Damien wins, but then Seth goes for the pedigree. Priest backdrops him out of it, but Seth fires back with an instant stomp, 1-2, but Priest survives. Priest gets the Razor's Edge, but Seth kicks out of that as well. Then Priest goes up top, but Seth hits his Superplex Falcon Arrow combo, except Priest reverses the Falcon Arrow, except Seth reverses that back into a successful Falcon Arrow, 1-2, and then it actually doesn't look like Priest kicks out in time, but I'm pretty sure he was meant to. The ref doesn't count the 3 anyway, and the crowd seem a bit confused. It's possible that Priest is maybe a bit banged up in the match. We don't really know yet. Anyway, Drew McIntyre's music hits, and here he comes. He cashes in his briefcase, and the match is now a triple threat. Drew measures Rollins for the Claymore, but Seth avoids it and goes for the stomp, but then McIntyre avoids that and hits the Future Shock DDT. He then sets up for the Claymore, but Priest gets involved and stops it. Drew gets back on top and grabs Priest, but here is CM Punk. Punk viciously beats Drew out of the ring and over the barricade and hits him with repeated chair shots before choking him with a cable. Drew crawls back into the ring slowly and painfully, where Punk grabs the World Heavyweight title belt and clocks him with it, laying out Drew McIntyre. Damien Priest hits South of Heaven, 1-2-3, and retains the World Heavyweight Championship with another big assist from CM Punk. Priest looks annoyed following the final bell, potentially because of that weird kick-out incident earlier on, but I think it's more likely the storyline reason of just being sick of getting help with this unwanted interference, be it from his own stable, the Judgment Day, or from CM Punk. Rollins isn't happy with Punk either and goes over to him. Punk stood on the announce table, and Seth shouts at him while Corey Graves holds Seth back. Next up is the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Naomi versus Zoey Stark versus Lyra Valkyria versus Tiffany Stratton versus Chelsea Green versus Io Sky. Everyone heads to the outside to start things off, apart from Chelsea, who tries to jump and just reach the briefcase without a ladder. It doesn't work, surprisingly. She finally gets a ladder and heads up, but she's scared of heights, so she gets down and tries to use the ladder as like a big stick to knock the briefcase loose. That doesn't work either. Io takes Chelsea out and squares off with Tiffany Stratton. She dropkicks her her into a ladder in the corner and then tops it off with running knees, again sending Tiffany into the ladder. Lyra Valkyria gets in and backdrops Io into the ladder in the corner before hitting a tornado DDT after some difficulty, admittedly, getting caught up in the ropes. I think the impact was also meant to be on the ladder lying on the canvas, but they missed. But then Lyra makes up for it by hitting a massive suplex to drive Io into the ladder instead. Zoey Stark takes control and hits Lyra with a Samoan drop onto a ladder before kind of missing some sort of move from the apron over the top rope, and unfortunately I think landing on her head as well. Hopefully she's okay. She did participate in the rest of the match and seemed to be alright. Naomi gets involved with a Thez press onto the ladder, but then she gets taken out by Tiffany Stratton, who then walks up a ladder, trapping Io in the corner and then chaining it into a swanton onto several other opponents on the outside. Chelsea is again the only one standing and she climbs again, but here's Io to hit her with a ladder, and then Io climbs, but Lyra Valkyria stops her, but then Io drags her into a Tree of Woe position hanging from the ladder and stomps her repeatedly in the head. She climbs up over Lyra, who comes back to life suddenly, sits up and drops her with a German suplex, only to get dropped herself with a big knee to the head from Zoey. Naomi now climbs 2 ladders with 1 leg on each, and those 2 ladders get pulled apart, but she's flexible enough to stay balanced and then takes out Zoey Stark with a mid-air DDT. She climbs up, but Tiffany pulls her down and they fight to the outside, where Stratton strikes up an alliance with Chelsea Green, and they agree that it's table time. They set 2 tables up, but then several other wrestlers have kind of taken advantage of the distraction and are busy climbing ladders inside the ring. Lyra reaches the briefcase first, but Zoey slams her down onto a ladder bridge below, the first of several high spots at the end of this match. Chelsea then does the same to Naomi, but with kind of an inverted, unprettier variation. There was a slight bit of obvious cooperation maybe here, as Naomi kind of walked right into Chelsea's grasp, but they were almost overbalancing on the ladder bridge. It was very precarious, so you can almost forgive them for doing that. Zoey and Io meet at the top of the ladder and fight over the case. Io nails Zoey with like a Michinoku driver over the top of the ladder down onto a ladder bridge below. It's an insane spot, to be fair, and a terrifying one, but they nailed it. Once again, Chelsea Green is all alone. The crowd are buzzing for her to win. She climbs up, but here's Tiffany to shove her ladder over. Chelsea flies to the outside through those 2 tables from earlier, and to be fair, she nails the landing. Stratton wins, and that was a very chaotic match, but you have to say that at least the big spots really worked out. Backstage, Trish Stratus is being interviewed, but Tiffany interrupts and wonders why everyone isn't talking about her right now instead. Trish says it's all about what Tiffany does now that she's won the briefcase. That's what really matters. Stratton says that Trish is just mad that her time is over, and now it's Tiffy time. The main event is the 6-man tag team match between the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, and the babyface team of Kevin Owens, Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. We get a long stare down before the bell between the faces in the ring and the heels on the outside. Tanga Loa is there too, it's worth mentioning, although he's not an official participant in the match. Cody wants Solo to start things off, but Solo tags out to Tama Tonga. Cody takes control, he gets the drop down uppercut fairly early on, and then tags in Canadian hero Kevin Owens to a big pop, and Owens beats Tama down in the corner. Randy Orton comes in and continues to get the better of Tama, who tags out to Jacob Fatu. Orton quickly gets his draping DDT, but when he turns around to set up for the RKO, he finds Jacob on his feet already, having no-sold it. Great introduction to Jacob Fatu. Jacob takes Orton down with a Samoan drop and a super kick before the heels work him over in their corner, but Orton fights back eventually and gets the hot tag to Owens, who hits the running cannonball to Tama in the corner and a swanton, 1-2, but Jacob Fatu breaks up the pinfall attempt. Jacob drags his own partner, drags Tama over to the corner and tags himself in, and the Bloodline are able to isolate Owens and retake control of the match. Jacob even hits a massive running hip attack in the corner of the ring. Tama gets back in and viciously beats down a prone Kevin. He drags Kev over to the heel corner again, and Kevin bravely tries to fight off all 3 opponents at once, to no avail. Finally, Owens does get free though and tries to make the tag to Orton, who gets dragged off the apron by Tanga Loa behind the referee's back. Ooh, you sneaky man. Owens and Solo have a hockey fight for a while, which Solo gets the better of with headbutts, but Owens finally does get free of the heels and makes that hot tag to Cody Rhodes. Cody hits a disaster kick to Solo and a Cody cutter on Tama before diving to the outside onto Solo. He then tries to do the same on the other side of the ring onto Jacob, but Jacob drags Tanga Loa in the way to take the bullet. Still on the outside, Jacob charges at Cody, who backdrops him over into the Timekeeper's area. Cody gets back in the ring. Spear from Solo Sikoa, 1-2, but the champion kicks out. Cody avoids a Samoan drop and looks for the pedigree, but Solo gets out of it and then accidentally takes out the referee. Cody hits the crossroads, but of course the ref is now down, so instead Owens hits a frog splash on Solo and Randy gets in and hits the RKO. Cody clears the announce table and they all set Solo up for a big powerbomb, but Jacob Fatu comes back and takes out all the baby faces with super kicks. He charges at Kevin Owens as well, but Kev moves, and again the poor referee gets clobbered. Tama tries to get involved, but Owens drops him with a stunner and then hits Jacob with the big prime bottle at ringside. He heads up onto the crowd barricade and splashes Fatu through the announce table. Back in the ring, Kevin goes for the package piledriver on Tama, but Tanga Loa gets in and low blows him, which Kevin doesn't seem to feel at the first attempt, but they get it at the second time of asking. Randy then gets back in the ring and starts hitting RKOs on everyone, but then Solo gets back in and nails Randy with the Samoan spike, but then Cody gets back in and hits Solo with 2 consecutive Cody cutters. He sets up for a third crossroads, but Jacob is back shockingly quickly from that announce table bump. They're really making him look strong here. He interrupts the crossroads, then hits Cody with like a step-up corkscrew senton out of the corner of the ring, and then an implant DDT. He then wakes up Solo and holds Cody in place for a Samoan spike. Jacob then goes outside, throws the ref back in, Solo makes the cover, 1, 2, 3, and Solo Sikoa has pinned the WWE champion, setting up that potential rumored match for SummerSlam, of course. But I think the other story here is just how much of a monster they made Jacob Fatu look through the booking of this match. And there you have it. That is what happened at Money in the Bank 2024. Thank you very much to everybody watching this video. Thank you to Pierce and Luke as well on the edit. And yeah, leave your thoughts and opinions in that comment section down below. I've been Jack from Cultaholic, and I'll see you very soon.